ABC Ipsos poll think that the country is headed on the right track. 2/3, 64%. They're optimistic about the direction of the country in the poll, which was conducted by Ipsos in partnership with ABC News using Ipsos Knowledge Panel, whatever that means. The last time the country came this close to that level of optimism was about the coming year was in December of 2006, when 61% said they were optimistic about where the country was headed, according to previous ABC News, Washington Post polls. So what were your thoughts about that? You can answer that question at facebook.com/910WSBA, or you can listen to what we're going to ask of our congressman from the 10th Congressional District. He is Congressman Scott Perry, who joins us here this morning. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
Hey, Gary, I'm well. Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm back in the studio, so I'm
the word on the street.
A return to somewhat of a normalcy, I guess. But it's not a lot of people here. But it's Mark and me and a few other people in the building, and it's a little different. But the commute is different today. The commute used to be like 15 steps down my stairs and 8 steps to the back room. Now it's a little bit longer drive. But anyway, it's good to be in. Good to have you aboard this morning. What do you think about this poll's kind of interesting. The country's optimistic after President Biden's first 100 days. I mean, we are starting to come out of COVID a little bit. We are seeing some return to normalcy, like going back to work. What are your thoughts about that, Congressman?
Yeah, I think that probably, I think most people are generally optimistic. They want to be optimistic about the future. Nobody wants to be a pessimist, and I think they do, in many cases, see signs that this pandemic, the effects of it, are at least on them personally, whether it's their children in school or whether it's, like you said, being back in the office. I think they see signs of it, and so it appears in America, anyhow, that's ending. And look, this has been taxing for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Whether it is your children in school, whether it's you yourself or a family member, a loved one who has suffered under COVID, the effects of it. Maybe you've lost a loved one, and you just want to get past it. People want to get to the point where they can look forward to going to the shore or something, having a family event, and not thinking about, how many people am I allowed to have, and who's got what symptom, and all that kind of stuff.
And are they 6 feet away?
Problems,
that stuff.
The normal problems exist and aren't going to go anyway, anytime soon. The normal problems that we all have, but this has been a big one, and I think that people want to be optimistic, and there's reason to be, the vaccinations and those type of things. So look, I have to look at the poll. I'm always skeptical of any poll, especially until I see the questions myself and so on and so forth. But like I said, I think as people, we want to be optimistic about our future, no matter the circumstances.
No, I think that's fair. I went further down in this poll, and a slim majority, 52%. This gets a little different now. Think the federal government should spend to revitalize the economy, even if it raises taxes, including 80% of Democrats and 54% of independents. The question of government spending and taxes largely divides Americans, with 47% saying taxes should stay at the same level, even at the expense of the economy, including 78% of Republicans. You're going to be talking about, President Biden has talked about raising taxes on people who make $400,000 or more. We continue to have that. He talked a lot about in his inaugural address about uniting the country. And one of the other things they're talking about here, 6 in 10 think that Biden is more responsible for the divisions out of the 28% who said the country is more divided. You get into all kinds of numbers here. You can go way into the weeds. But the point is, two things. Number one, are we going to be a better one of the selling points I think President Biden has to make is that the government is us, not them. As we look at the government right now, we often say the government, like it's them over there. We're the government. And yet at the same time, we've kind of gotten screwed up on that. Can he make the government of them be us? And number two, is the taxing program that he's going to use in picking out winners and losers in this country going to work? Those two thoughts for you this morning. I know we have a shortened segment this morning, but your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's in his best interest, depending on the policies, to make the government of them the government of us. A lot of people like to characterize, well, the government will pay for it, or it's the government's fault, and not realizing or not really wanting to acknowledge that the government is us. And when you're talking about taxing people, it seems like nobody has a problem with taxing the next guy, but as long as you don't tax me, sooner or later, these taxes, all of us have to deal with them. And, for a long time, essentially my whole life, Gary, you know me, I'm a smaller government, small taxation guy. And I happen to believe that the government currently taxes most of us too much. And it's, we spend more money no matter how much we tax people. We just keep spending money that we don't have. So I think that, and as far as uniting the country, we all have a stake in that. And it has to, your actions have to back up your words. I'm frustrated, obviously, with the media coverage of some of the events around the United States and around the world that they seem to be designed to divide us. And I don't know how we fix that as long as we can keep consuming that kind of stuff. I guess they're going to keep doing it. From my standpoint, I try and keep the rhetoric at an even tone and just call the balls and strikes as much as I can. And I don't partake in some media outlets I just literally don't want to be speaking with because I think they've got an axe to grind, they've got an angle, and a narrative, and I don't want to be part of fomenting the narrative. And I think that that's kind of voting with your feet or voting with your wallet, so to speak. And that's the best that I think any of us can do, and all of us should be trying to do. But I'm not saying this is going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for us or President Biden.
About a minute and a half left in our segment today because we do have a Give Local York segment after this. But I guess I want to ask you what the priorities are in Congress now during this time. What are the things that you're looking at? What are the things that you're kind of working on right now and the Congress is working on that they see as priorities at the moment?
Well, I think that certainly as a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, that's one of the things that I always am focused on, and I'm glad that the Biden administration is. I'm concerned. I'm frustrated with the current proposal. Only, a small percentage goes to roads and bridges. I mean, if you've driven, across Mount Rose Avenue on 83 for the past, 5 years or something like that, that's just all you need to know where our focus really should be, in my opinion. And so that's one of the things that captivates my attention every single day. Certainly, immigration is going to continue to be a big issue. I don't know. We already passed a couple bills here. In my opinion, they're making things worse, but we'll wait and see what the Senate does. And of course, general taxation and spending overall. I mean, we're on pace to spend over $6 trillion based on the proposals just this year. We can't keep doing this. I mean, heading to $30 trillion. I don't know what the breaking point is, but it concerns me for the future of our country. I want to be optimistic, but that's something that weighs on my mind very heavily every single day. Of course, our national security changes with China, Iran, Russia, and their attitudes towards the United States under the administration. You got to call it the way you see it. I mean, there's a different tone right now, and it's not favorable to the United States. What can we do about that, and what can we do about that in the Congress? All those are issues that are front and center right now for me, and I think all of us.
Congressman, we'll be talking more about that with you along the way. Sorry for the short segment today. We're doing these Give Local York at 7:18, but we're looking forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. We look forward to talking to you again in the very near future.
Gary, thank you. God bless you. Have a great and safe day.
Thank you. Congressman Scott Berry with us here from the 10th Congressional, all here on WSBA Morning News with Gary Sutton. Be safe, my friend.